Spiritual symbolism in Enter the Dragon. That movie from the late 70s was starring Bruce Lee. Quick disclaimer about this video. It's really kind of geared towards people that kind of get into like the spiritual symbolism aspect of things. I mean, if you've already seen the movie, this will just kind of be some things that might spark your brain and that you might remember. Or if you haven't seen the movie, it could be some things to kind of look out for. It's on Netflix right now, so you can go check it out. So anything that I might bring up as far as like what certain symbols might mean or what they're associated with, I'm not gonna really go too deep into that. Just kind of keep the video short. It's kind of an opportunity if you've never heard what I'm talking about before to kind of go and do some of your own research. And if you have, it'll kind of help you to kind of follow along and maybe tie some things together. The first thing that we kind of want to get into as far as the movie Enter the Dragon is that the baseline we want to set is that this movie is basically about achieving the ascension of a unified consciousness. Now, when I talk about unified consciousness, it means basically like male and female spirit energy, like the yin and the yang, kind of coming together and being balanced in order to kind of, maximize its full potential. That's kind of what the movie is about, just from like a general standpoint on a spiritual side. But as far as what actually goes on in the plot of the movie is really about martial arts tournament. Bruce Lee goes in as kind of like a martial artist / secret agent to kind of infiltrate this organization. He got some reasons of his own, and then he's also kind of been tapped, like I said, by an organization to kind of get some information to kind of stop what this eccentric billionaire who bought this island is doing out there. But as far as like the symbolism is concerned, we can start off at the beginning of the movie, where Bruce Lee is kind of sparring with this dude, and he's in front of a bunch of different monks, and they have all these monks have color coded like uniforms on. Like some of them have on red, some of them have on black, white. So like they just kind of color coded and everything, and he's kind of sparring in front of these people, and then he ends up winning this sparring match, and then he flips over like some monks like that were all wearing black. So they kind of like, hey, brother, look at me. He flips over them. So what that kind of symbolizes is, if you kind of understand alchemy, that's more of like the elevated consciousness, or like the awareness of that, or it could be like the black phase. So like kind of starting from like Saturn or whatever. Like that black phase, like he's aware that he exists outside of the body. That's kind of like the first step in like a spiritual awakening, is that you're aware that there's a difference between you and your soul, and all that. So he gets that awareness. And with the movie being called Enter the Dragon and him being a guy, it's usually like the first aspect of this spiritual awareness that we usually have is like the like fire, like the dragon, like the male aspect of the spirituality. So that's kind of where he starts off with, and then the rest of the movie is about him attaining balance. So the next thing that would happen that kind of had like show you like some symbolism as far as like a spiritual journey is there's like a paradigm shift where he learns about how his sister died. So he learns about how his sister died. That's something that kind of changes his mind on some things. And so that's kind of like the major shift. So first there's awareness, and then there's a shift in what you thought you knew. They really kind of get you on your journey or whatever, right? So so moving right along, we kind of get to the part where he gets to the island, and immediately you kind of see like the balance starting to kind of take place. So there he goes to this banquet where there's another woman that had kind of been sent by the same agency that he came from to kind of infiltrate. She's like a spy, kind of trying to figure out what's going on. And another thing that you have to remember too, as far as like Mr. Han, the one hand eccentric billionaire that has his island that Bruce Lee's supposed to go and infiltrate. So he's got like all kind of business like about his sister and all this other stuff that's kind of going on. But the main thing that he's doing out there, Mr. Hunter, the main way that he's running his business is by like desecrating women. So he's basically like running women, getting them addicted to drugs or whatever, and then like human trafficking. It's kind of what he does, but then he does drugs on the side and all this other kind of shady stuff. So that's important because it's letting you know right then, like I said, like, you know, Bruce starts off with the dragon already. He starts off with the male part, but the desecration of the female shows you like the imbalance that's taking place. So that's what he has to go and conquer. Um, yeah, so he gets to the island, meets one of the female agents that they had in there, like by they toss an apple up in the air. She shoots a dart in the apple. So Bruce Lee takes this, and I guess that's, you know, that's going to symbolize, like, you know, biting the forbidden fruit, like using the female, because immediately he uses her for more information to kind of get a lay of the land, right? So he gets a lay of the land or whatever, and then starts to explore the island and try to figure out, you know, kind of what's going on. So in order to do that, he has to go down below. Now, when he goes down below, that's literal in the movie, because he literally finds like an entrance to like all the shady stuff that's kind of going down in the basement of the island or whatever. And if you want to think about the island as being like a, you know, consciousness or whatever, like a body, like down below where the darkness is, where like the inner workings and everything is actually going on, you have to go down there in order to kind of balance yourself out, right? So first time he tries to go down there, he's not ready for it. He ends up having to run out of there like he's figured out or whatever, right? And then the next time he goes down there, they try to scare him off by putting a snake on the same like little entrance there where he entered. And you know what that actually would represent would be the Kundalini energy. So if you're not aware of like what Kundalini is, it's kind of, it's like the serpent energy or whatever that they say resides in the bottom of everybody's spinal column or whatever, right? That and this actual energy is kind of something that's released, and in order to flow freely, like you can't have any blocks or whatever. So it connects like the chakras. So all this stuff I'm talking about, like with the chakras and the Kundalini, so like you looked at it if you've never heard of it before. But if you have, then it's, you know, it's probably sparked up something in your mind where you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, so we notice that what he does with the snake is he actually uses it to his advantage. He's not afraid of it. He takes it down there, and he uses it to kind of get communication going from like the bottom to the top. Like he's able to call back home, and then he's also able to kind of break free of some of the other paradigms. Like that's what that symbolizes when he uses the snake to. He tosses it into the office, and the dudes like break all the glass out, and then he ends up having to fight everybody down there. So what all that represents is basically like transmutation of like his inner demons. It's kind of down in the basement. So he's going down there and he's figuring everything out. He has to go down there because that's what happens in every hero's journey, or whatever that makes sense to us. Is basically you have to go down to the bottom to realize your true self, because usually we're so, you know, caught up in the light that we don't deal with the darkness, right? So that's what that represents. So he goes down, he conquers like the lower half of himself, and then the next thing that you would see, you know, they try to make an example out of him, but what ends up happening is him and Mr. Han and them going, you know, to have their duel or whatever, you know, like the main bad guy duel. But you notice where it takes place. So it's actually like in a hall of mirrors. And that's important if you kind of understand like duality, like the mirror universe and all that kind of stuff. You know, everything here has like an opposite, and so kind of what that represents when he goes in there and he's fighting him, and he's breaking all the other mirrors to kind of be able to see the one man. It's kind of like their way of showing how you kind of navigate through that actual aspect of it. Like in order to be balanced, you kind of have to break all the other illusions and stuff of yourself. You kind of have to, you know, air your dirty laundry. That's what some of the celebrities and stuff are doing. But you kind of have to have it to where like there can't really be anything held against you here. So basically what you have to do is like the reason why he kicks Mr. Han to that spear and then kind of goes right through like where the heart chakra is because that's showing that in order to kind of defeat that you gotta like follow your passion, you follow your dreams, you follow, you know, you lead with love, and by doing that, you actually are able to kind of get past the bindings that kind of happen in a, you know, like in a mirror universe. Like if you are following your passions and you really know the real you, there's nothing anybody can hold against you. There's no energy blocks that can stop you from doing what you want to do. So you have to like, you know, conquer that duality, conquer that, you know, and kind of balance everything. So that's what that symbolizes. And you notice that when the spear goes through like the heart chakra, the bad guy, the unbalanced guy with the one hand or whatever, there's a picture on the wall behind him, because Bruce Lee it's like a spinning door. So Bruce Lee has to go push through that spinning door to kind of get there. And if you notice, The picture on the back is actually, it shows a tiger being like, this tiger is like split in half like a guillotine, right? So and the guillotine is actually chopping a woman in half, right? So it's chopping a woman in half, and they got this guy that's kind of holding this woman down while she's getting chopped in half. They got some fire going in the background. But what that really kind of shows you is that, like, yeah, it's like the female side of the spirituality, like the yin side or whatever, have been separated, and by defeating him, by going through like the heart chakra or whatever, now the balance was attained. So that before, that guillotine was being used to kind of separate the woman, separate the female side of the spirituality, and then it had been defeated. So when he comes out of all of that, like, he's a balanced being. He might look like he's been through hell, but that's kind of what that represents. So that was kind of like a really fast, like, jumping on all of the main points as far as like the spiritual symbolism and the journey. Um, but yeah, that kind of tells you, uh, if you watch this movie before, you wonder why like it kind of stuck with you, or if you watch movies now and it doesn't seem like the story changes. That's because there's only certain types of stories that actually resonate with us, and they usually kind of go in this type of way. But yeah, so the next time you watch this movie, or if you've never seen it before, and you take a look at it, and you're kind of in, on that spiritual plane now, where you're kind of looking and seeing symbolism and everything. That's kind of what all that would actually represent. So yeah, so if you watch this and you've also seen some different things that I might have missed, some other things, like, we could definitely talk about that. But yeah, this is just something that I kind of want to do, just in case there are people out there like me that are watching movies differently now, based on their journey. So yeah, cool.